Today is April 9th, 2018. Welcome to the Town Council meeting. If everybody would like to stand and join us for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Dale? Oh,
Council President Healy,
here.
Council Vice President Collins,
Here.
Councilman DeCruz,
Here.
Councilwoman Gledhill,
Here.
Councilman Veely,
Here.
all members present.
Thank you. Before I move on to item 4, I'm going to ask everybody to make sure they speak into their microphones, that they're on, and that all voices are legible. I know people have complained when they're watching from home, so it's important that they're able to hear as well. Let's move on to item number 4A and B, which are approvals of the minutes from the meeting as stated in item A, the work session of March 7th and March 14th and March 26th of 2018, and the regular session on March 16th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve items 4A and B. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any oppositions? Seeing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to item number 7, public hearing relative to the proposed amendment to the Town Code taxation. This is to amend 17-1 Veterans Exemption. It is clearly spelled out. Do we have any discussion? Gene?
Good evening. I'm Gene Bouchard, the town's assessor. Each year, the assessor's office conducts a survey statewide to see how our exemptions are comparing to other communities. There are 5 different veteran exemption categories. There's the Gold Star parent, veterans, widow of a veteran, 100% disabled veteran, and prisoner of war. This year's survey indicated that 3 of the 5 exemptions needed to be increased. Veteran and widow of veteran needed to be increased to $175. We're currently at $168. And the 100% disabled veteran category needed to be increased to $305. We're currently at $272. The other 2 categories, prisoners of war and the Gold Star parent, were well above the state average. This increase would result in a total tax exemption amount for the program of about $6,000 or $7,000. We still have people applying for this program, so we don't really know where we're going to end up as far as total participation. They can apply up until, we'll take them as long as we can, which is about 1 week before the certification of the tax roll. The program is promoted pretty extensively. It's on the back of the tax bill. It's on the town website. But it's more importantly promoted within the veterans groups to go to your local community and see what kind of exemptions. And particularly at the time of discharge, they have a conversation with the veteran to make sure they explore all their benefits. So should the council agree, I would recommend that you pass the attached resolution. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to address them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing due diligence. Do we have any other comments from the public? Any other comments or questions here at the table? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the changes as we just heard Jean describe them. Is there anything else I need to? Okay.
Move, yeah, public hearing item A, 7A.
Item number 7A, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or any oppositions? Seeing none, let's move on to the second public hearing, which is 7B. The town council, relative to amendments to the town code for Chapter 10, motor vehicles and traffic, Section 1012, boulevard and street stop signs as designated. Stop signs shall be placed on the following intersections, and vehicles traveling on the first named street shall stop before entering the second name. This would add Arbor Way. Vehicles traveling in a generally westerly direction must stop at the intersection of Beach Hill Road.
Yes, good evening, Joe Jaber, South Kingstown Police Chief. This is an intersection that is starting to be used as a cut-through from Broad Rock Road through the Oaks and back out onto 108. It's a three-way intersection. I've checked it a few times. It's a dangerous location, not as dangerous as a lot of places would be, but it's an intersection that there have been no serious accidents there, but it has the potential for that. So I think just the way this intersection comes together, that it could present a situation where a vehicle could overshoot Arbor Way and go right out onto Beach Hill. In that it's a bus stop as well, I think that a stop sign there would, any traffic control in that area would be better than nothing, which is what exists now. So I'd recommend that that sign be placed.
Joe, was this prompted by anything, or was it just proactive on the police department's side?
This was a neighbor that lives in the area that watches the traffic. I actually sat there a couple of times and watched the traffic, and I think that a stop sign would be appropriate.
We certainly hear from a lot of neighborhoods that become cut-throughs, especially in the summer months, and it's nice to see that we're being proactive about something before it becomes a real big problem. So,
Yes.
Joe, I drove by this, and especially if that's beginning to become a cut-through, this makes perfect sense. There's no control without it.
Right. So, like I say, there's a potential there. We've had one accident there in the last 3 years, but that involved a school bus, and it really wasn't an intersection accident. But nonetheless, it's an area that could present a problem.
Do we have any other public comment regarding this public hearing? Any other comments?
Motion to close the public hearing?
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve public hearing item B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing no abstentions or motion passes. Moving on to our third public hearing. This is, again, for Chapter 10 of motor vehicles, stopping, standing, and parking, Section 1052. And Title Street, south side, the intersection of Succotash Road, in easterly direction for a distance of 222 feet to the intersection of Gale Drive. Towing will be authorized. West side from Gale Drive to the intersection of Title Street in a general southerly direction of 145 feet. Towing it will also be authorized.
Yes, another different situation here with parking. What's happening, we've had those problems on Succotash Road during the summer, especially with the restaurant and the beach. And what's happened here is, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with that, there's a little rotary into those streets, and people are parking on both sides of the street and leaving their vehicles, either walking to the restaurant or walking down to the beach. So with that rotary and that intersection, if an emergency vehicle tries to pull in there, they could be blocked easily with vehicles on both sides. So we spoke with residents in the area, and they are content, and the police department would be content with no parking on the south side for, according to that map. I think everyone has a map there. And by authorizing the parking, no parking on one side, tow zone, I think that would alleviate the problem. So it's a safety issue in that particular area.
Do we have any other open discussion on the floor? Any discussion here at the table? Do we have a motion?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a motion. Item number C.
Motion to approve item 7C is presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? No abstention, hearing none. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 8 is a communication continued from our March 26th meeting regarding the zoning board decisions relating to the development of Tucktown Village and South Shore Country Club is received and placed on file. Mr. O'Neill usually appears here to speak to this, and I don't see him here. Does anybody else wish to speak to this?
I make a motion that we put item 8A on file.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 8C, a communication from the Exeter West Greenwich Regional School District in support of House Bill H 7200 would provide for a referendum question on the November ballot to authorize $250 million in bonds to renovate existing and construct new schools, with a stipulation that equitable funds be made available to all school districts in Rhode Island to achieve their goals. And how do we, actually we can probably take C and D together, because there's a second communication from the Pawtucket school system that reiterates the same. So we can entertain a motion to approve or disapprove 8C and D, take them collectively. That would be on the table.
I'd make a motion that we put both C and D on file, but I just want to make a comment that item C does have a stipulation that the funds would be distributed equitably between the municipalities, and I think that's unlikely, although I'd be in favor of that. So I just want to make sure we take note that it is a little bit different, but I'm comfortable placing both of them on file, seeing how we've endorsed this in the past.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Item E is a communication from the Pawtucket School Committee requesting support of legislative proposals that would ban bringing firearms onto school grounds, except for peace officers, and that is defined under Rhode Island General Law 12-7-21. How shall we proceed?
Make a motion to place communication E on file.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions or abstention, motion carries. Item F is a communication from Martha Badigan, Brad Evanor, and Bronwyn McGuire, dated March 21st, requesting a town ordinance related to single-use plastic bags. This is received, and the council further directs as follows. Anybody like to come up to speak to that? Please come up to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. My name's Martha Badigian, and oh, that's okay. Oh, it's so fine. It happens all the time. I grew up here in SK, and I think, like all of us, I have a real love for this little town, and I've always been very proud of the way it's been managed. An important part of our community identity really is our natural beauty with our farms, our beautiful coasts, our open spaces. I'm very concerned that we protect our beautiful resources. And also as a local school librarian, I'm concerned about the example that we're setting for young people. In this spirit, I sat down with a couple of fellow residents, Brad Heavenor and Bronwyn McGuire, and we crafted a letter asking you all to consider a bag ordinance, single-use bag ordinance for our town. So I wanted to thank you for giving me just a moment to speak to it. And, the letter that we sent basically encourages the town council to perhaps take up the work that many of our sister communities have done, and this has led them to ordinances regarding single-use plastic bags. And we were very excited to learn recently that this work is already undertaken by our SK Conservation Committee. So we just wanted to come forward to show that there is a significant number of residents who support these efforts and that there are people willing to be part of the process, because we're well aware that, there are challenges in creating this kind of an ordinance, but we feel that there are definitely ways to address the challenges together, and that's all we wanted to say. Thank you.
I'd make a motion that we place it on file and refer it to the Conservation Commission and maybe to the Sustainability Committee and the EDC as well.
Second that with just a comment. Like you said, there is a lot of momentum and discussion around this right now, so I think we're going to see it move along fairly quickly. And I know that there is another group coming in May who wants to also present some information on this. So thank you for the information that you shared with us, and I hope you'll stay involved.
Before I take a vote, I just have a question. And it comes, my daughter does not, unfortunately, she's not in Rhode Island anymore. She's a teacher up in Massachusetts. However, where they shop, they have the reusable plastic bags that are the recyclable plastic bags. Are you familiar with that? I'm not totally familiar with that, but they recycle them and reuse them, and they have them in the grocery stores that she shops in. Could that be something we could possibly look into? Because,
like you, there's a lot of different options and issues, and I think our concern really is that we take the most forward step that we can, because I have seen a variety of approaches in our surrounding communities, and one of them was just to encourage a thicker variety of plastic bags so that people might be more likely to reuse it, all the way to, I believe it's Middletown, who just said no plastic bags. And I heard anecdotally that that's going quite well. There's been really not a lot of problems with that. So I think our hope is that we take the most forward step that we can in encouraging the most progressive, the most progress we can make on the issue, I guess. I mean, my fear is that we settle for an ordinance which would be so small of a step as to have little impact, really, I guess. But like you, there's a lot to learn about it. And
I don't understand. My daughter just said, Mom, you can have plastic bags that are recycled plastic bags, and they're not bad for the economy. They're not bad for the community. And truthfully, I don't know enough.
And I had heard, interestingly, like when I heard about biodegradable bags, at first that seems like the magical answer. But apparently, it takes a while for them to biodegrade, and I think probably has to be done in a compost facility. So, a lot of research to be done here, and we didn't really want to come forward and say we have all the answers for the community, but...
No, it's a good step.
Yeah, we'd like to kind of begin the conversation, I guess. But thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe we do have a motion and a second, sending it to committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Okay, seeing none, let's move forward. Let's see where we are. A communication from the Barrington Town Council, which is item, G, supporting the opposition to the governor's 2019 budget request for quasi-public reserve transfers, section 15 and 16 in Article 10. Reserve transfers to scoop $6 million from the RRC in order to close the state budget deficit. How do we wish to proceed on that?
Just so folks know, the RIRRC is the Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation. And this is sort of the second year in a row when the governor has scooped money from quasi-publics to try and balance the budget. I think that's sensible, pretty poor way to budget. But I don't know that I want to pass this resolution.
I don't disagree with you, Abel. Also, scooping, as they call it, from the quasi-public while raising the tipping fees doesn't make much sense to the person paying the tipping fee. But I'm with you. I mean, I would be happy to place
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to place it on file.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. Moving forward to item number 9, this is the time that we leave the podium open to comments from any interested citizens. If anybody would like to come to the podium to discuss any issues, please do so. We welcome your comments. Just I would ask that you, when you come to the podium, please state your name for the record.
Bill Rosen, Kingston. I'm curious. You just went through a bunch of communications, and you placed most of them on file. What happens to those? Okay. C and D are associated with the $250 million bonds. Do we have some sort of way of stating that we're in favor of that? Because if we don't, the planning of the school committee is going to go down the drain, I assume.
We actually had that maybe for the last, or the, we did support that.
Well, I missed the last meeting, so.
Oh, we did support it, and we sent, Dale sent communication based on our fact that we supported that up to the state level. So yes.
Okay, good. Okay. You answered my question.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to come up and speak in front of the podium? Please state your name. Seeing none, we will move on to the town manager's report.
It's been a nice and quiet week. Not a whole lot of crazy controversies going on, which is good. I'm actually working with department heads to start putting together a regular, what I'm calling a flag report, and you'll see that first manager's report, flag report, at the next meeting. Basic idea is that we're going to tell you whether we're green, we're yellow, or we're red. If there's a red flag, it means we've got an issue we ought to talk about. If we've got a yellow flag, we're sort of nervous about something, and the green flags mean everything is going well. That first report should be to you at the next manager's report. I'm reporting, I'm going to report.
Thank you. The town solicitor's report.
Unless there are any questions, all quiet on that front, too.
Great, you guys are jinxing us.
Any appointments this evening?
I think there was a Pam Rubinoff to the planning board, and we're still waiting for a response. Are we still from Mr. Rondo? No. We haven't heard from him yet. All right, well, I'll make a resolution to reappoint Pam Rubinoff to the planning board for a term of 3 years to expire in May of 2021 then.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no oppositions?
And then we had reappointment to the Recreation Commission, Joanne Blessing. And have we heard from Will Litvin? Not yet. Okay, so, all right then. Motion to reappoint Joanne Blessing for a 3-year term, which would end in June 2021.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, seeing no opposition. Are we done? Okay, let's move on to item 14. Under new business, item B, Dakin Applied Americas in Walpole, Massachusetts, to install 2 Armstrong pumps, which are high-efficiency motors at the Public Safety Building in the amount not to exceed $11,000, including a contingency of $1,549. And this was presented in a memorandum to the town manager April 2nd. HVAC chilled water loop upgrade. Any discussion? Motion?
Motion to approve 14B.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to C. This is a bid to WB Mason with new furniture and shelving at the Peacedale Library. And this is not to exceed $62,696, including a contingency that has been described from the library director to the town manager on March 28th. Furniture and shelving at the Peacedale Library.
I'd make a motion that we approve item 14C as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, seeing no opposition. D would be a resolution for the 2018 Town Beach Policy and Fee Schedule. This has been shown on Exhibit 1, and this has been described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager on March 27th. 2018 Town Policy and Fee Schedule. Any discussion?
Did you want to come up? Terry's here.
Good evening.
Terry?
Does anyone have any questions regarding the 2018 beach policy? There's no fee changes recommended this year. We've made a few changes in terms of the schedule. The gate is open later on weekdays and weekends. We've also adjusted the picnic area policy. We at one time rented it, but because of the attendance at the town beach, particularly on weekends when people want to rent it, there's just too many, the volume of the public attendance is so high, we feel it should be left open for the public to use.
Terry, I just had a question. I know you decided to open a week earlier in the hopes that in hiring staff for the beach it might be a little bit easier. I'm just wondering how that's going, if you've seen an increase in applications.
Recruitment has been pretty good. We're still in the process of interviewing candidates, but we have had a level of interest earlier than we usually do, so we're hopeful that we'll be able to sufficiently staff through the summer.
Terry, can we charge Narragansett residents more?
They're non-residents, so we can charge them as non-residents.
I do like that idea of a shared
To approve item 14D as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Thank you, Terry. And we'll move on to E, which is an award of contract to B&E Consulting of Providence for Suez rate filing, review, and testimony consulting services not to exceed $22,800 with a contingency of $2,000, with South Kingstown share being paid for from its water enterprise fund. This was described in a memorandum dated April 3rd to the town manager. Suez Water Rhode Island Rate Filing Consulting. Any discussion?
I just had a quick comment. I know during the budget session we discussed looking into creating our own water filtration system and getting our own water instead of buying it from Suez at some point, where it might be fiscally prudent to do that versus keep buying it. So just reading up on the rate hikes and stuff, it just sort of further cements that in my mind that we can't continue these kind of rate hikes.
Good evening, John Schock, Public Services Director. As the council may recall, you've already awarded a contract to CEI for the water supply management plan update and the clean water infrastructure plan update. They're in the process of looking at the cost to build the filtration plant and operate it versus paying the wholesale fees to United.
Crazy. I can't believe that's just such a crazy rate hike.
Anything else? Before we make a motion, you're killing me. Because I got that memo, because we have to have our inspections done. And I called the people that do our septic. We can't come out till May 9th. They said, no, it's supposed to be done by the end of the month. So,
We give everybody a little leeway.
but you know what? We haven't seen those in years, so it's kind of,
Yeah, this is the first round of re-inspection for septic systems.
yeah, thank you. That's good. But moving back to item E, do I have a motion if there's no more discussion?
Motion to approve item 14E is presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No oppositions, no abstentions, seeing none. Motion carries. At this point, we will go on to item 15, which will be a closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 4246-5. We're going to discuss matters pertaining to lease or disposition of publicly held property. Documented, where is a documented interest by the public, South Road Elementary School, and personnel regarding Robertson Nexi, 60-day initial performance review.
Yeah, we'll just put on the record that notice has been provided to the town manager.
Okay,
That I could have done this in open session.
So moved. Is that a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're going to move into an executive